Welcome back to another iDoctor UK podcast. This is going to be episode 3. There's been a little bit of a break in between the last two, what we recorded with Zane and Al. I'll put the link for those in the description below. And we're back by popular demand, really, because it was TechMax last week, last week, TechMax, or the week before last, it was TechMax. And there was a couple of people there who were like, what happened to the podcast? And a few people have messaged me, they've been on my case. Here we go. Back by popular demand, iDoctor podcast, episode 3. And today we've come all the way down to Leicestershire, Hinckley.
Burbage.
Burbage, near Hinckley, near Leicester, near Coventry. We were Mr. Sam Reed, who was literally just this week. When did you open it?
Sunday this week.
Sunday. He got the keys for his new shop here, and it's a mess. We're not gonna beat around the bush. It's a work in progress. How are you finding it, mate?
Stressful for definite.
Yeah.
Getting there, but instead of closing up for the week 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get it all sorted, I thought I would stay open and crack on with the repairs, keep the repairs coming in.
Yeah, I think it makes sense too, but
try and get everything sorted at the same time. So, yeah, still a work in progress, bit of a mess, but hopefully next.
What sort of hours are you working doing this then? Are you like crack
12
of dawn
hours pretty much? Yeah, like 7, 8 in the morning, 7, 8 at night, and just to try and do a bit on the shop and a bit of work at the same time.
Yeah.
Just to keep everything flowing.
I mean, when we walked in here, I don't know if we've got some B-roll footage of that, but literally Sam's front desk is just covered in repairs. The cameras are shooting on that desk, and there's like 15 repairs on there, all waiting to be done. And then I'm just here in the middle, causing a scene, nicking all your parts, and getting some of my own repairs done. So
getting some frames done.
Yeah, some freebies. Anyway, what's your sort of main source of income? Repairs, or like what's the main thing that you do here?
It's pretty much now a 50-50 split between retail consumer repairs and then corporate repairs, so other repair shops on the B2B glass refurbishment.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much like level at 50-50 at the minute. Selling refurbished screens as well is quite a big one. Probably go through maybe 40 to 50 screens a week, like iPad screens that are shipped out.
I'm definitely going to bring over to the iPads because I've had a few off you and they're always good. Big plug for Sam Reed screens. The iPad screens are always the best price and the decent quality. I'm not going to pry too much, but you're buying bulk cracked screens from a supplier.
Yeah, bulk and cracked.
And then
as long as the backlight and LCD are good, reglassing them, testing them, and then they're shipped out.
And just while we're plugging, then you'll buy them off anyone.
Pretty much anyone, anyone. So as long as you have to send them in, they'll be tested.
If you've got broken screens to sell, Sam's your guy. He'll give you a good price for them. So the refurb and the selling of refurb screens, and then the consumer repairs. You're in a decent location here as well, aren't you? So
yeah, it's much more where I was before. It was in the village. There was 1,000 or so people with obviously various villages around.
And that was working from your house as well.
That was working from home. So where you saw the office.
I think it was this time last year, around June, July last year. Me and Isaac from Wales met up, and you showed me a load of refurbing techniques because I think I'd either just ordered my kit or I'd just got it delivered.
Yeah.
Also, it might have been later in the year, but anyway, that's irrelevant. And then you showed me how to get on with the refurbing of iPad screens, which helped a lot. Like that was useful. And then you've moved out of a 3x2 spare, 3x3 box room, wasn't it? Yeah,
pretty much.
Tiny little room.
It was. You could barely walk around in there.
And
so yeah, it's much.
How are you finding adjusting to the space? Because I went from similar. I started off in the car, then I worked from a workshop at home, which was very similar size to that room what you had, like 3 meters by 2 meters or 9 foot by 8 foot,
small.
something like that. Yeah, only small. How are you finding adjusting to the space? Because I just trash every surface that I've got. I could still do with a bigger workshop.
I think you'll never have somewhere big enough, but the problem was it was finding somewhere that's like a middle ground between being too small and like office based or workshop based, but not in a warehouse sort of thing. Because some of the listings were just huge.
Yes.
But I definitely find that my productivity has definitely gone up. Just for having more space, I can do a batch of like 30 screens at once rather than 2 or 3 or 4. You can just do batches of everything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then I just find that working from a workshop rather than working from home you can't just go and sit on the sofa for 20 minutes and you end up getting so much more done.
What I wanted to do with this episode of the podcast was I know you were saying last week when we bumped into each other at TechMax, like, oh no, I'm going to wait for the signs to come. I want it tidied up and stuff. But I wanted to get in, and I pressured you a little bit to come down and get it whilst while it's a mess and whilst it's in progress, because realistically, there's a lot of people who are working from home at the minute and they want to make that jump into either a shop or to get a repair workshop. So it's a good time to explain what you're feeling and stuff. And then I even said to Alex on the way down that we might come down probably in a year's time and see how you're progressing, how you're getting on there. How are you finding, I know it's only been a few days really, do you find that when you go home at night now, you forgot about work?
Pretty much, yeah. It used to be that I'd finish at 7, 8 o'clock and then I'd then go and do more work at 9, 10 o'clock. Whereas now, because it's only 7, 8 minutes down the road.
Okay, I didn't realise it was that close.
Yeah, it's 7, 8 minutes or so, but it's just enough that it's like, I won't bother.
See, I had it in my head they were much further away, because when I came last year, it took me about 2 hours to get here, but it took me right round the stupid way, and then it took us an hour 20 to get here today. So
yeah, and it's literally 7, 8 minutes up the road. Yeah, but even just that amount of space, it still means that I don't end up just going to work. And even in the evenings now, I don't tend to reply to emails and whatever as much.
That's the best thing you can do.
Finish
even
at 7 and
sometimes you might, obviously we all get complaints and we all get customers who message us and they've got an issue. They're the hardest ones to ignore, because you think, all right, this person's got a problem. You want to get back to them as soon as possible. So I always struggle with that one. Emails, I ignore them because I don't have push notifications on emails, but always loads of our customers get in touch through Facebook Messenger. So if you're sat in bed and you're browsing Facebook and something pings up, it is hard to ignore that. But
that side of things is difficult. I mean, I still the problem is with Facebook as well, it shows them when you're active. So if it shows that you're active and you're just not getting back to them, or you've read the message and whatever, it doesn't look brilliant. So things like Facebook and whatever, I'll always try and get back to in the evenings. But messages and WhatsApp and emails, etc., contact forms. Yeah, it's definitely the best thing for you.
And you've got a miss at home, so you need to keep her happy as well, don't you? So I think when we moved from the workshop at home to the shop that we're in now, I definitely noticed a big sort of, like you said, the productivity. You get more work done. You're not finding yourself sat on the sofa and going in for a cup of tea or whatever. I know there was a gap between our house and the workshop, but it still all merges into one. People used to knock on the door at 9 o'clock at night, and you just don't want it. So people literally knock on the door with an iPhone 7. They're like, oh, can you fix me screen or something? At 9 at night, you're like, literally just put a film on or something.
So, the problem is when they're there, it's then difficult to turn them away.
You can't say no. So you're not going to say no to 50 quid or whatever you're charging for that. So.
That was the other thing that was a pain. If we'd finished off at 7 and then someone rings you at 8:30 for an iPhone 12 screen and it's 150 odd quid, you can't say no.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
But then if you weren't there, they would have just waited until the next morning anyway.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Right. Shall we talk about the kit that you've got here? Because you've just been showing me the gluing machine. I've moved swiftly away from that anyway. But yeah, the gluing machine, that is sick. Like that, where am I going here? I think there's one other person that I know has got one of those machines, and that's going to give you a real good edge when it comes to like B2B refurbing, because even speaking to guys at TechMax last week, I was speaking to Sean Blowers and he has the exact same problem as me. I can imagine it's quite universal that people struggle to stick the frames on the OLED displays.
The one thing that everyone hates with refurbing is doing your framing of the screens. It's the one thing that used to worry me with frames coming loose, green line in the screens. Or if you then refurb a screen and they then go somewhere else for a battery 6 months later,
it's peeling away.
The screen just falls off. Whereas with that, even though you can use the glue without the machine, the finish on it is just, well, you've seen the finish this morning.
And it's the speed of it as well, isn't it? Because when you're using the magnetic clamps, we're using the magnetic clamps at the minute, and let's say we do a 12 screen. 12 is probably our most popular screen that we're refurbing at the moment. 12 screen, you put it in the clamps and you've got an hour or two's waiting time with like cold press glue, And even then, when they come out, you can come out and it's uneven or something, and then you're redoing it again, you're cleaning it, messing about. That takes, what, 2 minutes?
Yeah.
I think it took about 30 seconds to apply the glue,
and then
a minute and a half for clamping.
For the press.
Crazy, insane.
It's definitely worth the money.
Can we disclose, shall we talk money? How much?
Yeah, I mean, direct from China, they're 3,200 delivered.
Yeah.
I got it for 2.5 in the UK from someone else selling it.
Oh, you got it second hand, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I bought it originally and then bought it from that
okay,
that
So you bought it twice?
Bought it twice, pretty much, yeah.
But it's worth it, isn't it?
Definitely worth it, yeah. I think if you order it from China and it's sent by sea rather than air, I think they work at about 1,800 quid.
See, it's not a massive investment when you've already spunked $2,000 on a laminator and definitely. The rest of the gear. It's not that big.
If you work out how many frames go wrong and then cause you issues down the line, you probably save that over.
I'm just fully skirting around reframing any screens at the minute. So I was just saying we're doing lots of 12s. I've got a stack of X's. I've got a stack of 11 Pros, all ready to be refurbed. But unless I'm desperate and I really need to do them, I'm sort of doing them on demand. Whereas that, I could probably stay one evening a week, do all my OLED screens,
20, 30
screens, get them all framed, and then I don't have to worry, and they're in stock, they're ready to go. Yeah. So I think in the next few months or so, I reckon I'll have one of them. It's big though, isn't it? I'm looking over there. I don't know. The camera will pick up and it'll be like, where's he looking at? It's round the corner from where I'm sort of sat here, and I can just see it in the corner of my eye. But it's a big unit. I'll try and put some footage of it over this section where we're talking, but it's a big unit. You've got
that was the problem. That was one of the, because getting the shop was a bit of a rush decision, really. It was an advert that I saw on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
But a few days earlier, I just picked up the glue machine, and it was still in its box because it was too big to go in the current office.
Yeah.
So that was like another contributing factor to getting the shop in the first place, just because it didn't fit.
Of course.
So I had to do something to get it to fit, but it is quite a big unit.
Yes, big bulky thing. Sorry, I know you've introduced the company name. Sam's company name is iTechnology Repairs. You've got, find him on socials. I will try and remember to link it below or on there, wherever, you know what I mean. iTechnology Repairs, where is the future? Because this isn't just your only thing you've got going on. You're a busy dude.
Yeah, so that was another reason for getting the shop, is to be able to then within 3 or 6 months take someone else on and be able to start training people up, so that then in 4 to 5 years when I go elsewhere, I can then still have the business running rather than having to leave it all to nothing.
It makes sense.
Obviously working from home, selling a business, it's worth nothing because
it's zero. Yeah, you've got your stock, what you can sell, and that's about it.
It's pretty much your stock and equipment. Whereas if I can grow the business for the next 3 or 4 years, and then start to take staff on, at least then in 4 to 5 years, whether I still decide to keep the business or sell on, it's going to be worth something rather than just
definitely.
a room in my house full of equipment.
And you've not got any competition here either, have you? In
There's no one in the village. There's a few of your sort of typical shops in the town centre.
Where's the nearest town centre?
Hinckley.
So okay,
probably 10 minutes up the road. But it's your usual shops.
Yeah, it's quite a nice little village. We drove through it.
There's no one else in the village that's worth mentioning, really.
Of course.
And then you've just got a couple of people dotted around, sort of slightly further afield. But nothing in the village.
Yes. So the plan. Sorry, we started going off on a tangent about the village, but the plan in the future is to either build it up to a point where you can sell it, or to what are you thinking in terms of staff? You want to train somebody up on refurbishing, or
try and get either 1 or 2 people trained up on refurbishing, and then they will also be able to do your standard screens, batches, ports, etc. And then ideally have someone sort of front of house just to manage customers, admin, that sort of thing.
I was only talking to Nathan the other day about getting just, even if it's an admin person, because you know yourself how much time you spend on the phone pricing up a job. But the problem what I seem to face with that is having the back end, and I think that's what makes a business valuable as well. Is the back end stuff and the processes. So if you've got a system where you could get any admin staff with a couple of days of training,
and jump straight on,
and they know the answers to the questions. That's why it's difficult to get the staff trained. It's difficult to get people in who've got no experience, and then keeping hold of them, because once you have trained them, chances are they're going to bugger off and start up on their own, or go and work for somebody else who's offering more money. So it's so hard to get those processes. I saw a couple of businesses for sale on the Facebook group, and it's sort of, what are you actually buying? All you're doing is buying yourself. You're buying yourself a job.
Yeah.
That's where it makes it difficult. We've just took Nathan on, and he had no experience. I'm in a fortunate position where I've known him sort of 20 years, so he's a good friend of mine. But I don't have any documentation that says, here's how you do this, here's how you do that.
Yeah.
You work on such a wide range of stuff, and it's not universal knowledge. And you might be changing a battery on one phone, and then the next model,
refurbing a screen on the next.
Yeah. So it's so hard to get that right, and to make it to a point where it's even automated. I think that's what you're looking for, isn't it? You want automation. So
I've been looking at like sort of repair desk, My Gadget Repair, that sort of thing, just to try and help automate things a bit. Obviously you've got all of the booking system, the CRM and everything on there, but it's just it's a lot of work for
a small shop. Repair desk, or what's the other one called?
My Gadget Repair.
My Gadget Repair. They're just too advanced.
It's what a lot of people have said.
So much stuff to them, and it's mind blowing. So we were on pen and paper, and because I'm so disorganised, it were a nightmare. So we've gone on to forms. I ain't got my phone. What kind of form are we using? QuickBooks Forms or something like that.
Yeah.
And you just build a basic form. Everybody can log into it, device, name, number, and then it sends an email out to me, to Nathan, and then they've got the customer information on the phone, and then we just stick a note on it with the repair number.
Yeah.
So and it's just a very, very, very stripped back version of any of them CRM or like repair desk and that sort of thing, and it's working better than the pen and paper, because we were just writing people's name and number, what they need, putting it down somewhere, and then it gets lost. Like, I work in a similar condition to how you are, and it's easy to get things lost.
Yeah, things get mixed up and whatever.
Yes.
So it's definitely the way to go. Some sort of organisation.
Yeah. So we briefly touched on the future before, and I'm going to swing it back around again, because you've got something like cool going on, and whenever I tell people, they're like, that is pretty cool. So you're training to be a commercial pilot.
Yeah.
How are you finding that? Because you've just got some assessment passed.
Yeah, I've got my private licence now, so it's now just onto my commercial exams.
So you could effectively fly me back up to Sheffield.
Yeah.
That's sick. That's crazy. And so, what have you got to do now to move on to that? And once you've gone through all that, is that where you want to be, like, flog this off, or I imagine it'd be even worth your while just to say, oh yeah, fuck this, I'm out of here. See ya.
Yeah, just go on. It's difficult. I mean, there's a lot of my private license was difficult, because trying to fly in with weather and work and everything, working all hours, it's difficult. But my commercial will be even harder, because there's just so much more to it. There's multiple practical exams,
of course.
13 theory exams.
I imagine that people just literally do that full time.
Just solely, full time.
Just full time. So trying to juggle a business, what chances are paying for you to do that? That's funding you training there. Yeah, that's got to be difficult.
It's difficult. Yeah, it's and just getting everything done. I mean, there's time frames on certain licenses that have to be done within a set period of time, or they're only valid for a certain period of time once you've done one to do the next.
Yeah.
So trying to keep on top of that is difficult, and get enough flying in without drifting off from work.
Yeah. I don't think I could do it. Definitely not. Even if I had the ability and probably the eyesight to do it, I think I would fall short there. Like juggling all that.
It's difficult, but it's got
to be hard.
Worth it in the long run.
Yeah, definitely. Where do you see the future of repairs? Because you've got like the micro soldering gear here. I know you don't do a load of that yourself, but you're doing sort of basics and trying with that, and then the refurbing stuff, which is Is that where the future is? Do you think you might look at IRP or anything like that?
It's difficult. I was debating IRP now that I've got the shop. Obviously, there's not it doesn't seem that difficult to get into IRP nowadays, as long as you've got like the requirements that they're after. But yeah, I think it's definitely soldering and refurbishing. I think that's the way forward, especially with like the 13 Pro displays. They've been out well over a year now, and there's still no aftermarket options that are anything reliable. So yeah, I think refurbing and soldering to a degree is like definitely the way forward. Otherwise, it's just not cost effective to be able to repair devices anymore. It's like with the 13 Pro Max, the screens are what, 300 odd quid near enough. 250, 300 quid.
Is that for a refurb?
That's for like
from Apple?
I think from Apple they're like 280 odd quid, is it? So it's expensive. And that's just to buy the part from Apple, and then obviously labour on top. Completed at Apple, I think, are they 350 quid or so?
I think so,
It's starting to get quite expensive.
It is. But you'll find that customers will do that, because where's your nearest Apple store?
Leicester, city centre,
so that's half an hour away.
Half an hour, yeah.
Yeah, so I think you've probably been a good location for an IRP shop. I don't know a lot about it.
I've never looked into it really. I know a few people recently that have got onto it, and they seem to be loving it. Obviously, with IRP rather than the authorised repair provider, whichever way round it is, one of them you can still do aftermarket options as well, and the other you can't.
That's the IRP one, as far as I'm aware.
I think on IRP you can still do everything. Obviously, you can't do backglass and stuff like that. But yeah, in terms of fitting an aftermarket screen or an original Apple direct from them, you can choose.
I think it gives you options, doesn't it?
It gives
you options, and it gives you options to the customer. And then there's somebody else who I was speaking to who's been IRP for a while, and then they get a lot of commercial stuff in. So like company devices. So that works really well for them, because they're getting that sort of work. I'm not sure. It's the option, isn't it? It might
just gives you that credibility as well.
Credibility.
That you're authorised from Apple.
Who you might not have got through the door if you're only offering aftermarket displays. So yeah, it's definitely a good option. So the next thing that I wanted to ask you, because I did make a list in my head and it just went. The next thing is, what made you choose this place first? And then, obviously, you're very much in the infancy of setting this place up. Would you do anything different if you were going to do it again?
I'd probably take a bit more time on it. The only other option we were looking at doing is, once we've got a mortgage, get somewhere with a double garage and convert that into a workshop instead.
From home still,
but then, for one, I had to make a decision on this place rather than waiting weeks and weeks and weeks to let them know. And I thought, well, it just gets me away from the house then. It gets me away from working from home into the shop. I mean, in terms of doing things differently, I'd probably, if I had more time, I'd have had a bit more time just to get things set up a bit, get all of the signage up, display cabinets, accessories, etc. But that's probably the only thing I'd have done differently, really.
Yeah, I think when we were speaking to Zayn on that, it was a while back when we did it, but he was the same. I think something just popped up.
Yeah, and just went for
it. Was a do or die decision, take it or leave it, and he's ended up doing all right. I went to see him the other day. He seems to be doing pretty well. So I think sometimes. I
think that's the problem with places. As quick as they come up, they go off. Then they're gone. I think here they had 30 odd other people after it. I mean, I applied first, obviously, which is why I got it. But they had 30 other people or so that were after it for various, from dog grooming to, I think there was a barber shop and there was a few bits. So
it's perfect size.
It was difficult to find somewhere that's not huge. I mean, there was some units that were like 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 square feet, and you're paying an absolute fortune. Whereas the only other places that I found were offices, like serviced offices, which weren't much less than this a month. But you've literally got an office. You've got a square room.
You've got good parking as well.
There's decent parking.
Whenever, like my unit, if I were to do mine again, it's on the first floor, so there's steps going up to it, and a lot of people moan about the steps. The parking's not the best because we're inside a old industrial unit, but it keeps sort of the location where we're at. It keeps just random people walking in because most people don't know that we're there, so we don't get pestered all day by
It's the only thing I'm dreading is once I've got the door open and the signage up, just getting people coming to ask this and that. I don't mind helping people, but if you're stacked out with work,
people coming in and they come in and they want to chat.
Yeah,
they might be lonely or whatever, and I feel bad for those people. But at the same time, you're running a business and you've got
to prioritise that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's the only thing I'm sort of dreading once I have got the signage up. But the parking's good. It's on like a decently main road through the village between the motorway and the A5, so it's on like a decent route through there.
I think you do really well here. I'd be happy if I took this place on. Definitely, I'm kind of jealous. What's what?
Yeah, move up to Sheffield and work up there.
Take your lass up there. No, I don't think that would come. The only thing that you really, really need in here, Sam, is a kettle.
Yeah, kettle and a coffee machine.
I was very disappointed with the hosting. When we got here, we were just sort of, you're not having a cup of tea, you're not having a cup of coffee. I've got a coffee machine, but it's under the desk here.
Yeah, it's not set up yet.
Yes.
So yeah, that's probably the only thing I would have done different is just to probably have a couple of weeks just to, even the problem is that the reason it had to be so quick is because all of the units and everything were being moved over from the old place.
Touched on that because this was empty when you got it.
The flooring was done, the walls were done, but that was it. So all of the workbenches, all of the cabinets, half of them were moved in.
What? So you put this in. It's Tuesday now. You got the keys on.
It was a week like 8 days ago. Yeah.
So I bumped into you on the Friday, and you're like, I'll get the keys at the weekend. So you've done well though.
So I got the keys on the Saturday morning after TechMax.
Yeah, that was good going.
So it weren't bad, but the problem is obviously with the old office having to be cleared out that day.
Yes.
I didn't have a choice but to set all the equipment up. So the only thing I would have done differently is probably just done it over a week in the evening. So still worked from home for that next week or two.
Yeah.
Put all of the benches in, put all the signage up, the accessories, slat wall, whatever.
Yeah.
And then moved all the equipment in once it was all going.
Yes.
And just do the shop in the evenings and weekends and whatever. But that's probably the only thing I would have done differently if I could have.
Yeah. So just talking about slat wall and accessories, have you got something sorted for that? Have you ordered it? Or?
Pretty much ordered it, yeah. Just finalising a few bits
What have you gone for?
So it's like the grey with aluminium strips for the slat wall.
Sorry, the accessories.
The accessories.
Yeah.
It'll be the Devia range from Sanjay.
Everybody goes for that.
And then probably like the exquisite pro grip cases and whatever they do. I've let Sanjay pretty much sort that out himself with whatever he thinks is best.
You know what? I did the same when I said to him, look, I've got a budget of X. I've got this much space.
Yeah, just plan it.
He sent me a picture. He said, we did something similar in this shop. This is what it looked like. This is what you're going to need. And in reality, I don't think there's anything what's not sold. Headphones.
I'm probably not going to go for things like headphones as much.
I think there were 5 sets of headphones in there. I might have sold 2. But apart from that, everything else moves fairly quick, like power banks, wireless charging coils, charging cables, and I'll keep a really, really limited range of those King Kong cases.
Yeah, just for iPhones.
Just for iPhones as well.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And that moves fairly fast. I could do with restocking it because it's looking a bit bare now. But yeah, it's good stuff. That really is good stuff, and it's good quality, good warranty. I've got no complaints with Sanjay.
Yeah, it just keeps everything clean and one brand. You've not got 30, 40 different cases, and
that looks good as well when it's all the same colour. It'll work well in there as well because you've got the blue.
Yeah, just matches.
Blue and white. Yeah, nice. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about whilst you are here? Because I think we're probably coming.
I think that's probably about it, really. Yeah, I have to see how it goes over the next few months.
Do you want any advice?
Yeah, if you've got any advice, definitely take it on board.
I've got absolutely no advice. I speak to Sam almost daily, asking him for advice with refurbing and stuff. So I don't want to get you in the shit because I'm going to say don't message me. Message Sam if you need something because he knows a lot. He's a young lad with a lot of potential, and his refurb stuff's really, really good. I'm not shooting off too much, but yeah, I think that we'll probably wrap that episode up there. I've run out of things to ask Sam. Sam's run out of things to say. It's been good to come down and see the place. I'm quite excited to see how it comes on in the next few months. It'll definitely look better with some signage and some more
the accessories and whatever.
And then once you've tidied it up as well, mate, then it'll definitely
get it all tidied. Try and get that done.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you for watching episode 3 of the iDoctor UK podcast. I'm going to say password. I don't know why. But it's been really, really good to film another one, and I feel like I'm back in the groove with these. So, if you want to come and be a guest on the podcast, I will either try and come to you if you're not too far away, or we can do it at our place. Let me know, drop me a message, leave a comment, and we can arrange it, and we'll be filming the next one probably this time next month. So, hit me up. Hit me up, guys. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.